Simon, I'd like to turn to you. Your thoughts on this idea of kind of assessing your cash position and thinking about stress testing and ensuring
I think we've
for a rainy day.
I think we've seen conditions in the marketplace that realistically none of us foresaw. I mean, there are those who claim to have foresawn it, but frankly, they were extremely quiet a year ago. It used to be said, that if you owe your bank $100,000 and you can't pay, that's your problem. If you owe them $1 billion and you can't pay, that's their problem. But I think what we've seen is that if enough people owe you $100,000 and can't pay, it's the bank's problem.
Yes.
I think that however much you do as a financial controller or a CFO to try and get transparency in your transactional processes, there are things going on in the marketplace that you cannot necessarily discern, and I think you need to have robust sources of intelligence to manage that. I mean, the reality is that that's a particularly vexed issue in emerging markets, because the kind of intelligence that you typically would subscribe to to a great extent in the West is by and large too late. By the time you find out, for example, that a trader in southern China or a manufacturer is going under, it's way too late. So you need to have intelligence gathering capability that I think goes outside the finance function and includes your company as a whole. Are we going to talk about? Because this is quite a defensive discussion. Where we're talking about sort of the challenges that have arisen as a result of liquidity challenges. I mean, there are companies that are, that I meet occasionally that actually have done well, that are liquid, and they're liquid either because they happen to be in a position of power in their particular supply chain. Like for example, like retailers in the modern trade. They can basically take cash from everybody and they're fine, or they have funding positions. I see companies negotiating very effectively with their suppliers who are concerned because their productive capacity is underutilized. So you can go to a supplier and say, I'll take more from you, but I want a lower price. So there's margin opportunities. If you're liquid and you're in a marketplace where there is an opportunity to acquire market share, and you have an undercapitalized customer base, which would be very true of much of China or Vietnam or emerging markets where you have a distributor structure where third parties are responsible for taking your product to the market, they're typically undercapitalized. So if you have access to funds, you can go out and you can displace competitors. And thirdly, acquisition. If you've got cash, I mean, asset valuations haven't always gone down to a realistic level, but they probably will.
Yes.
And if you're asset rich, if you're cash rich, then this is and you've managed your risk well in the past. This is a good time to go out and take advantage of that, and and maybe make a quantum leap in terms of your presence in the market. And I see companies doing that. I see agile companies doing that. But I do see a lot of companies that are worrying. Sort of protecting, not always successfully. Seeing cash flow pressure, seeing some of their market share ebb away. So I think there are.
Well, those are good points, and I mean, I think the three companies we have here today, from my understanding, you guys are actually in a pretty good liquidity position. Obviously, everybody's got risks that they're facing and that they're trying to manage. Do you see opportunities in a marketplace like this? Given your relative ability to get access to bank loans, for example, is that something that has occurred to you, David?
In fact, one of the reasons we asked our bank to grant us more facilities is that because at the moment there are a lot of cheap, assets, in the market. So what we talk to the bank is that we just have the line in place, in case there are some good projects that after we run all the numbers and finish the due diligence, then we may use this facility.
Yes.
So these are standby one.
Yes.
We have approached the bank in this way.
That's right. Yeah, it's particularly in property. Some good
property and also some retail projects as well.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. Estella, how about you guys? I mean, you guys are operating in China property, which is taking quite a big hit.
Yeah, because for Country Garden being the biggest company in the industry, all along the banks, they are very, very supportive to come to us. So that's why we have got the banking facility, and also just like taking the first quarter as, for example, we have obtained more than 1.8 billion RMB additional line. That's on top of our 13 billion unutilized. So to us, we don't see any major difficulty, because from a point of view of the bank, if you are granting the credit to some player, you have to look at whether you prefer to grant to some small player with more exposure or prefer to get it to the biggest player. So in this aspect, we are more lucky in that regard.
Yes. Well, we're running near the end of our time, and I wanted to turn to one final topic, which is bank relationships. Cassandra's already touched a little bit on that. Now, obviously, sort of maintaining access to credit is a very important thing. You've all touched on this idea of kind of keeping your bankers happy and making sure your lines of credit aren't cut too much. I'd be curious to hear specifically your thoughts on what are the best ways to sort of cultivate good relationships with the banks so that the loans will be there when you need them. David, what are your thoughts on?
Yes, I think maintaining good relationship with banks is very important. What we do is to be more transparent. Say in case we have some important transaction, we always alert them. And then say we don't have surprise with them.
Yes.
And also before, after the announcement, we always let them have these financial results, and also make appointment with them and discuss with them, let them know what are the prospect of the company.
Sure.
In fact, we met all our bankers after the result announcement. And especially when your result is not good, then you better inform them.
Yes, right.
And
what is the expectation?
From my experience, I think the local bank, they regard relationship very important. You can discuss with them even in difficult times, but foreign banks sometimes very strict. My experience.
Yes.
So but so far we have very good relationship with our local banks,
right.
Because of this the good relationship. They, for some of the loan, even they, we discuss with them early, and then we extend the loan for a longer period. Some we give them some, under collateralized assets, and then we have higher, loan amount.
Definitely, there's a lot of uncertainties in front of us, but I think we are all being quite cautious and be well prepared nowadays, and also get prepared for the worst to come, of course. And I think a lot of companies, they are also, in the meantime, they are taking actions to cut costs, actions like this. And I think in the meantime, there's also a lot of companies, they maintain being calm, and also try not to take a lot of drastic actions in terms of their headcounts or overheads, because they know if their business going back well again, they need those good people surrounding them. So I think that they are nowadays being very cautious in this respect.
Yeah, it seems to be a lesson that maybe the best companies have learned, but not all companies have.
Although there's news every day that there's layoff every day from different companies, of course.
Yes. Simon, last word with you.
Yeah, this is a time of enormous opportunity, and it's very important not to let concerns about risk obscure the fact that in many sectors there'll be significant changes in the leading companies, not just in Asia but globally, as a result of this crisis in the next 4 or 5 years. And the CFO, it seems to me, has a very important role to play. So although it's important to keep your hand on your wallet, it's also which is the risk stuff, the cost stuff, the receivables, working capital stuff. It's also extremely important to have an eye to the future. To understand that customer intimacy is not just about getting paid. It's about identifying and retaining those customers who are critical to future growth. It's about going out and finding new customers. It's about understanding where there are opportunities in the landscape to grow through organic growth and through acquisition. And I think the CFO always has a key role to play in identifying those opportunities. And one of the dangers is that you'll be so overwhelmed by the risk stuff that you'll have no time for that strategic stuff, which actually is more important.
Yeah, sure.